think oftentimes when people hear me and see me, they think that I'm a fool. They think that somehow or another I've lost my mind, that I'm not down with the in crowd. They've said that nobody would love me and that I'm an outcast. But let me say this here now. We can be clear about anything. Please let me be clear about this. And I pray that it's received and understood. I don't want to be one of you. I don't want to be one of you weak men, weak people.
For my brother,
I'd rather die. Death is welcome rather than to call myself you spineless black men.
Sha1, I ain't your traditional. Rapper smoking medicinal, stayed in detention. Life is all about principle, cynical ass niggas. Sorry that I offended you. I bring something different while niggas sounding identical. I'd rather drown in a swimming pool than to let you imbecile stop me from topping my pinnacle. Try me blocked by the genitals. Trust me, it's not intentional. It's the difference between a gangster and a criminal. Cause real gangsters can't do Breakfast Club interviews. A lot of you niggas don't own a business suit. A slave for every pair of Michael Jordan tennis shoe. But anywho, got your bitch walking around like she winning pool with no bottoms on, just the top of her swimming suit. What you gon' say when them niggas gon' try to get at you? Them in what army, or you just talking in general? Cause in the end, we all gon' die like them Seminoles, nigga. These niggas weak. I'm fucking up. These niggas weak. These niggas weak. I'm fucking up. These niggas weak.
I look at the sorry state of black men in America today. The destruction of the family, the loss of integrity. When as a young boy, black shot down every day for years without stopping, when I look at what we are as black people, I'd rather be dead than to continue to live against such.
Y'all ain't trying to start a revolution. Y'all looking for a restitution. Niggas kill each other every day and ain't no evolution. My partner shot 100 niggas and it was never proven. We just labeled him a gangster and kept it moving. Let me give you the same outcome, separate shooting. A white man kill a black, we holler persecution. So instead of looting, it's time to find some better schooling. You can act like y'all don't understand when I'm elocuting. Did I stutter? I was never Reuben. Y'all ain't no Black Panthers. You wasn't there with Newton. You ain't Martin Martin. Try to better humans. Instead of all these rappers, we need some better students. It's time to rebuild the neighborhoods that we helped to ruin. And the NAACP, y'all need some help recruiting. Fuck a resolution, let's get some retribution. I feel like Malcolm X when he left the movement. These niggas weak. I'm fucking up. These niggas weak. These niggas weak. I'm fucking up. These niggas weak. Yeah. Y'all know what it is, yeah, I said it, nigga. All you niggas laying up with these bitches with no condoms and shit. Having mistake babies and shit, leaving these women to motherfucking raise your kids by their motherfucking self. Yeah, my nigga, I said it. You don't like what's going on in the motherfucking America, leave this motherfucker. When they said we were free, my nigga, that mean we were free to go back where the fuck we came from, my nigga. Yeah, it's a whole motherfucking continent that belong to us, nigga. It's called Africa, motherfucker. What the fuck is y'all talking about? Y'all ain't trying to start no revolution. Y'all motherfuckers spent 10 bands on the motherfucking section in the motherfucking club. 10 bands to build a whole motherfucking neighborhood in Nigeria, nigga. Get the fuck out of here.
me look. Just read this book and it'll tell you everything you need to know.
There's another N-word we throw around in and out of the black community called nappy. We have taken that word like the other N-word, nigger, and made it a word of adornment. I have heard the word nappy my entire life, which was used to insult, degrade, and hurt someone. This word is a derogatory term that was used in our ancestors to insult.
Available now.
I love myself.
Same tree, different branch.
I hope you love yourself, because love is only love when you love somebody else.
Claim your Africanness. I'm telling you, when you claim your Africanness, I'm telling you, when you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back, and you're going to get your intelligence back. I'll guarantee you. Education. And when they take responsibility in terms of their own Africanness and their own identity, when they don't spend all of their lives trying to escape from their Africanness, when they don't believe that to be called African is a curse. You see, when they don't run from their Africanness, but they run to it, and they embrace it, and they become a part of it. Let's see what happens to their learning when they decide and say out loud that I'm black and I'm proud, and that I'm African and I'm proud. And if individuals, society exists outside African people, that is logically impossible. And it's a stupidity that's perpetrated on the population and on our people, and often leads to serious misunderstandings, both of ourselves and of our situation.
What up, peeps? Good afternoon, good evening. Man, welcome back to the greatest show on earth, man. This is episode 3 of Diary of a Confused Pseudo. The confused pseudo of today's topic will be none other than Sha1 or Sha1. So I don't want to hold y'all too long today, and I'm not finna let y'all hold me too long today either, because I'm gonna knock this right on out and probably take my ass a nap real quick. But so let's get to the reason why we're here today. Make sure y'all like the show. Make sure y'all share the show. Hopefully everybody is on their way to pick up either Brother Kofi's book about African hair, or Brother Kofi and Brother Sean Polidor's upcoming book. He's taking pre-orders right now. Or you're going to get Brother Chavis's book in his collective, or you're going to get all three of them. You know what I mean? That's the best solution. But hold on, before I share my screen. Yeah, man. What up there, everybody? Let me get to it. So this is the reason why we're here today.
Explain this shit. Sha1. The only thing they're leaning on, they can't explain none of these splits, none of these environmental pressures that happen. They can't explain none of this. These
That's crazy, because I could have sworn we explained all that. All of that. We explained all of said shit that he and that we can't explain. Um, the reason that he even knows these about organisms changing over time via environmental pressures, et cetera, et cetera, is because of science. And now he's saying science doesn't know. We can't explain it. It's counterintuitive now.
Are reconstructed pictures. I had this conversation with him. You cannot reconstruct a skeleton to see the phenotype. If you've never seen something, how do you reconstruct it to make it look a certain way? So that's one thing we have to question. That's not saying
You can't reconstruct these fossils that are being found. So I'm assuming that he thinks that it's just all guesswork. It's just freestyling. Now there is a level of guesswork, but that guesswork that has to be done is not of great importance, is it? Like the color of, we talking about Homo sapiens sapiens or Homo neanderthals or a species of human, for example. I personally don't place prime importance on something like the color of their skin. But I mean, hey, to each his own. Different strokes for different folks. Let's run it back. Run it back. Peace, peace. Like the show, share the show as you come in, man. Did I press play? Nope, I sure didn't.
The final Carino one, did he devolve into having you melanin skin and nappy hair? They don't explain this shit.
Tyrone. The only thing they're leaning on, they can't explain none of these splits, none of these environmental pressures that happen. They can't explain none of this. These are reconstructed pictures. I had this conversation with him. You cannot reconstruct a skeleton to see the phenotype. If you've never seen something, how do you reconstruct it to make it look a certain way? So that's one thing we have to question. That's not a
exactly.
conspiracy.
Oh,
that's
you want to know something funny? You want to know something funny, Sha1? The same person that did the reconstruction of the King Tut, the pale King Tut, she did that Lucy 8 reconstruction with the skin on it. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I didn't know
that. Excuse me. Let that run a little bit too long. I apologize for y'all for making y'all suffer through the excruciating voice of Little Richard Pryor. But we can reconstruct these fossils. So let's see. I mean, let's see how these scientists and these paleo artists are coming up with this shit. Let's see if we can find out. I got one free article left, and I'm not registering or logging in. I'd rather get the physical magazine. But let's go. All the sources, of course, are in the description. How do scientists reconstruct what dinosaurs look like? So we're gonna start with dinosaurs, and we'll work our way up to these species of Homo. Check. All right. Despite having roamed the planet for millions of excuse me, hold on 1 second, y'all. Let me do that. Okay. And while I'm doing that, let's blow it up all the way so y'all can see. Despite home the planet millions of years ago, thanks to advances in technology, dinosaurs aren't as inscrutable today as they once were. And over the past decades, in addition to studying what they acted like, wasn't real rap saying that we don't know the day-to-day of such and such species and so, and I don't know what that had to do with the price of tea in China, but yeah, they know how they acted, they know some of those behavioral patterns, including their habits and diets. Researchers have specialized in reconstructing and depicting what they looked like, all the way down to specific details like texture and color. But how do the scientists go about pinpointing these details for creatures that died 65 million years ago? It turns out we actually know more about dinosaur looks than you might think. Interesting. As of 2023, how many species of hyena are worldwide? I don't know, man. Y'all ain't finna have me looking crazy on this motherfucker. So let's keep going. What did dinosaurs really look like? Of course, these are dinosaurs we know a lot about, and dinosaurs we virtually know nothing about. Fitting for such a vast, diverse category of animals, and it's important to resist the urge to lump all dinosaurs together. Okay, makes sense. But some scientists will argue still that reconstructing the appearance of certain dinosaurs is an extremely nuanced, detailed process, allowing them to pinpoint their looks with precision. Yeah, that's crazy. This is what the eyeball said that they was riding on. Eyeball said they was riding on these. You feel me? Like they was on horseback. Hey man, don't start all that whining. All right, my bad. We actually know way more than paleontologists tend to convey, and also way more than the average person gets, says Darren Nash, a vertebrate paleontologist specializing in reevaluating dinosaurs. We're doing really well, actually, in terms of what we know. I think it's really anti-scientific, anti-intellectual, and misleading when you get these memes where people say we don't know what Tyrannosaurus Rex looks like. For all we know, it could have been a giant sparrow, adds Naish, who also worked as the paleontology consultant for Apple TV Plus series Prehistoric Planet. Never seen it. I might have to check that out. And it's like, no, it wasn't like that. We know for sure. So they seem adamant. How do we know what dinosaurs look like? How do they know? Experts responsible for reconstructing dinosaurs fall into two main categories: paleontologists, the academics who research the prehistoric animals for scientific purposes, and paleo artists, which is what we'll be dealing more with today, because paleo artists are the ones who actually make the reconstructions. And they get a lot of their information from the paleontologists and archaeologists, etc. And paleo artists, creatives who often have paleontology backgrounds but are more concerned with the artistic depiction of these creatures. How do they recreate these dinosaurs? These specialists have three core tools at their disposal. First, the most straightforward of which is fossils. obviously. This can encompass fossils of bones and bits of skeletons, of course, but also fossilized items found, from the environment dinosaurs inhabited. The second tool is mummified organic tissue. Contrary to popular belief, there are a lot of specimens of mummified bits and pieces of skin from the dinosaur era. Right? Make sure y'all like the show. Make sure y'all share the show. However, when fossils and organic tissue material aren't available, paleontologists and paleo artists rely heavily on anatomical comparisons between dinosaurs and living animals who have descended from them. A phenomenon known as phylogenetic bracketing, which makes a lot of sense. It's a lot of sense. This must be AP's dinosaur. This is what he was riding on, right? You know the Albo said they was riding dinosaurs. I ain't lying. I ain't lying, homie. I got the clip. Okay, for instance, scholars know precisely where T Rex falls on the techniques branching trees, bracketed by crocodilians on one side and birds on the other side. Of course, this technique can be misunderstood or abused. Living animals don't perfectly represent their ancestors, the ancestors of their respective groups. All right, this shit wigging out. Okay, let me start over. Living animals don't perfectly represent the ancestors of their respective groups from hundreds of millions of years ago, each with their own evolutionary histories. Still, Naish notes, it's nonetheless a good tool to have in the toolbox. So they telling you a certain element, a small element of guesswork, which is fine, which is to be expected. Recreating scientifically accurate dinosaurs when paleo art to reconstruct the dinosaur, they usually proceed from the inside out. In other words, they start at the skeleton and then build on those details on the surface. Let's start at the dinosaur's skeleton and stance. The first, hold on one second. Go sit down, man. What the fuck is you doing? The first step helps scientists determine a dinosaur's core, basic form by reconstructing its skeletons through fossils like bones, shells, and teeth, along with anything else tough enough to survive fossilization or fossilization. Reconstructing a skeleton is the forensic task like the police do. And I think most people would understand that the skeletons that you see in museums or photographs are pretty accurate, says Mike Benton, a vertebrate paleontologist at the University of Bristol. Yeah. That must be the Albo community right there. For the skeleton, they can then deduce the posture and stance of this creature, allowing them to cross-reference it with fossils of its footprints. These details then inform things like where and how far apart its feet were placed when walking, for instance. So the skeletal structure of these species that they are finding, the fossilized species that they are finding, is able to give information to the paleontologists, who then in turn gives the same information to the paleo artists. This is what it's sounding like, at least so far. Then come computer simulations and models. You can look at the structure of a limb skeleton, and then you can model the whole thing in the computer, says Benton, who adds that experts use these projections to understand where an animal weighed the most or had the most power. So they're getting a lot of information from these skeletal remains. You flesh out the body next and shape and bulk. There are a few bits of preserved muscle tissue for certain extinct dinosaurs, says Mark Winton, a paleontologist and paleo artist at the University of Portsmouth. But perhaps more importantly, scholars can use fossilized bones with scars of where muscles were attached to fill in the gaps. Interesting. It's a good boy. Yeah, man. Hey, I'm just relaying the message. This is what they told me. Or this is what they told everybody that was watching their channel. Actually, I mean, I got the clip, bro. Don't call me a liar, y'all, because I pull that thing out. You know what I mean? Pause. Plus, since muscle layout is actually quite conservative across the animal kingdom, from humans to, say, crocodiles, experts can look at living animals to get a pretty good idea of what the muscle layout of an extinct vertebrate might be, says Winton. Unfortunately, it's unclear how bulky or atrophied these muscles may have been. Okay. That's not always clear from fossils. And of course, we know this was we know this was very variable among living animals, says Winton, who also wrote the Paleo Artist Handbook to Recreating Prehistoric Animals in Art. It's similarly tricky to understand whether a dinosaur might have had fatty tissue deposits. This is something that has virtually no representation in the fossil record, says Whitten, although there are exceptions. We get to the layer of the skin and texture. Skin preserves more often than you might think, but also not as often as we like, says Whitten. Experts have even made maps of different skin types throughout dinosaur evolution in order to make predictions for species without preserved skin available. Stegosaurus in it? Oh no, Centrosaurus. These big ass motherfuckers was vegetarians. That's wild. Similarly, experts can use depressions, creases, and impressions of blood vessels from the surface of the bone to help them deduce the type of skin that appeared on top. Skin and bone interact when they're very close. Perhaps when the skin is tough and scaly, says Winton. So more information that they are learning from these fossilized remains. Still, the sheer size of many dinosaurs makes it difficult to extrapolate from one part of their anatomy to their body as a whole. In other words, knowing what their skin was like on, say, a sauropod leg may not apply to everywhere else on such a gargantuan animal. What about adding a color and covering? In 1996, paleontologists in China discovered some of the first fossilized feathered dinosaurs. Uh-oh. Since then, nearly 50 more well-preserved feathered dinosaur species have been discovered. These first findings cemented that some dinosaurs were indeed feathered, which allowed experts to learn more about their colors in general. It'd be a wild place to be back there. Them big ass boys riding around and flying around. Examining these feathered remains under a microscope reveals that they're clad in well preserved microscopic organisms. At first, they were mistakenly described as bacteria. In the early 2000s, scholars proposed an alternative explanation, revealing that the elongated sausage-like molecules were actually melosomes, cells containing melanin that give color to the hair in mammals and feathers in birds. In 2010, Benton's lab published a study describing how to ascribe color to different dinosaurs by looking at the shapes of different melanosomes. The fact that, the fact its same relationship with color and shape in both birds and mammals gave us confidence that we could apply it to almost any fossil group. Okay. Says Benton, adding these pigment cells have different arrangements, densities, orientations, providing information about the dinosaur's patterns, stripes, and color arrangements. Okay. Draw the dinosaur's face. The last step may be the trickiest. All right. Possibly the most controversial part of reconstructing a dinosaur's appearance is determining what exactly their face looked like. Some researchers say that the detailed external bone surface texture on the face, say of a T Rex, is just that of a crocodilian. Well, they're both reptiles, right? I would think so. Meanwhile, other scientists looking at the same data believe it's consistent with animals that have extensive soft tissue on the face and a lot of skin built around the jaw edges. So it's still a touchy subject on the face. Um, Part of the facial part of the reconstruction of said dinosaurs. But for the most part, they getting a lot of information from these fossilized remains. Within a few years, if we do the right studies, we should be able to come up with standardized reconstructions for like the face of the T Rex or the face of something like Triceratops. We've already done this for some horned dinosaurs, says Winton, whose labs published in 2023 the 2023 paper in Science detailing that Tyrannosauruses actually probably had lips that concealed their teeth, upending the way that they're often depicted in the media. Media depiction of dinosaurs. I don't think we really. Okay, we can get into it real quick. Media depiction of dinosaurs. Dinosaur faces aren't the only area of contention when it comes to their appearance. Overall, some scientists suggest we should only depict what we know for sure, while others think experts should engage in some educational guesswork to explore the visual possibilities of their existence. I ain't mad at the guesswork if that's what you got to do. I don't want no incomplete, weird looking ass dinosaur. You know, there there's a lot of extreme weirdness going on in living animals, and that sort of stuff was surely present in the animals of the past, said Naish, who also co-wrote All Yesterdays, a book that speculates what different dinosaurs might have looked like. They play by the same rules as living animals do today in terms of in terms of their lives being governed by the need to court and mate and all that sort of stuff. Regardless, not a lot of the mainstream media depiction of dinosaurs do a great job at accuracy. I'm not. I'm not gonna blaspheme Jurassic Park. I'm not doing it. Many follow the rule of cool, says Naish, featuring creatures with gnarly mouthfuls of teeth and razor sharp claws. I wonder about this continued monstrification of prehistoric animals to make them look scary or awesome, says Naish. Is this actually kind of a bad thing for the societal understanding of not just prehistoric animals, but how people imagine the past? Their depiction on the silver screen aside, paleontologists and paleo artists are continuing to unravel more nuances about what these prehistoric beasts looked like some 65 million years ago. So we have some understanding. Hold on, let me plug my shit in for my laptop down, y'all. We have some understanding understanding of what these dinosaurs look like because of all the information that we can gather from fossilized remains. Excuse me. So what we gonna do is this right here, and then we're gonna move on to the Homo. Then we're gonna move on to the Homo. Pause. One second, y'all. What the fudge? Where the fudge? Okay, here we go. And before I play this, let me go ahead and get this copyright disclaimer out of the way. I really should have put that in the description as well, but oh well, we at it. This is for educational purposes only. YouTube. We do not make any money or any type of profit off of it. So I appreciate it if y'all let us live. Quick video.
In my dinosaur lab, we started out bringing back, we call them field jackets. And the first need, and it's always really the most important need, is to be able to, without losing any information, take an animal out of its stony grave. But actually, you can go further than that. And we've done this now with our most recent discovery, Eodromius. You can add flesh to the bone. Now, to do that, I have a couple of people, and Tyler is one of the most gifted of people in this regard, that not only are artistically talented, but they also pay a lot of attention to the science behind it. That involves working with me, going back and forth so that we come to a common understanding of what this animal should look like.
I worked with a number of local film artists, assisting them doing TV commercials, industrial films, local productions, low-budget horror movies, doing gory movie effects. Having satisfied a little bit of that urge to do movie special effects, just the small taste of it I got was, I think, enough for me. Paul, he has an art background himself, and he sees the value in how somebody with the hand-eye coordination and the kind of technical eye to see things and create things, how somebody like me could be helpful on his team. On the latest discovery that was unveiled, Eodromius, this little predatory dinosaur from Argentina. This dinosaur was at the base of the theropod lineage of dinosaurs, and the evidence seems to be telling from discoveries all around the world that many, if not all, theropods had some sort of feathery coating. So I began to look at pictures of what some modern birds have, and there's actually quite a range of skin coverings that modern birds have that range to almost looking like hair. If you think of the down of a chick, I started to assemble this reference to get an idea of how we might skin this new fossil that Paul found, and also I did some sketches just to show him some color ideas to kind of see what might be interesting visually for this animal. As I reconstructed it, I gave it a bright blue wattle or a dewlap under its throat, and this is a feature that you do see in many modern animals. When you think of an animal like a lizard, like a chameleon, that has a display dewlap, which is bright red. Many birds also have different kinds of display structures and wattles. And I found in a number of them, from turkeys to pheasants, and even the large bird, a cassowary, that have bright blue skin that might serve as a visual display structure. And typically, the paleo art, the reconstructions that I do, are sculptural. And so I typically start with clay. And I use an oil-based clay that doesn't dry out. We'll use various casting resins, plastic resins, to make a lightweight replica of the clay sculpture. And to paint those, to make them look lifelike and alive, I'll use acrylic paint and glass eyes from taxidermy suppliers. The color of the eyes and the color of the paint that we apply is speculative. We're always guessing, but we're basing it on animals that we see today, so it's at least within the range of nature. This exhibit in Wakanda at the Lake County Discovery Museum is my first solo showing of my artwork, and so I'm really proud to have it there and to be able to share with the public these reconstructions that I've done for a number of colleagues and institutions. It's great in that it shows some of my earliest artwork, some of my childhood artwork, and also some of the things I've done just very, very recently as a professional. And so sharing that, especially with kids, I think is great because I think there's such great value in these reconstructions that I do to tell the scientific story to the public and also to get kids interested in learning.
Dom DeMarco.
Had to hit you niggas with a Don DeMarco, man. Hey. Start barking in here, man. Yeah, I had to hit you niggas with the Don DeMarco. Fuck out of here. You saying we can't, these fossils can't be reconstructed? Now, nobody said they 100% accurate. Hold on, man. Turn this dumbass nigga off. Well, nobody said that it was going to be 100% accurate, but I mean, shit, what is 100% accurate in this world? So we'll go to these ancient humans. Oh no, that's Australopithecus. We're gonna go even back further. So a small 32 million year old face greets visitors at the Anthropology Hall of National Museum of Anthropology and History in Mexico City. This reconstruction of the famous Australopithecus afarensis specimen dubbed Lucy stands a mere 4 feet tall and is covered in dark hair and displays a pleasant gaze. This is the famous and infamous Lucy. She's no ordinary mannequin. Her skin looks like it could get goosebumps, and her frozen pose and expression make you wonder if she'll start walking and talking at any moment. This hyper-realistic depiction of Lucy comes from Artelier Danes Artelier Danes studio in Paris, home of French sculptor and painter Elizabeth Danes. Her 20-year career is a study in human evolution. In addition to Lucy, she's recreated Sahelanthropus tachalensis. No, I probably fucked that up, but we gonna still roll with it, as well as Paranthropus boise, Homo erectus, Homo floresiensis. I probably fucked that up too, but it's all good. Just to name a few. Her works appear in museums across the globe, and in 2019, Dares won a prestigious J. Landendorf Paleo Art Prize for her reconstructions. Though she got her start in makeup department of a theater company, Danes had an early interest in depicting realistic facial anatomy and skin in theatrical masks. When she opened her damn, watch out, man. When she hold on, what was that? When she opened her Paris studio, she began developing relationships with scientific labs. This interest put her on the radar at the Thought Museum. Nah, I'm pretty sure that's not how it's pronounced, but today that's how it's pronounced. In France in 1988, they tapped Danes to reconstruct a mammoth and a group of people from the Magdalene culture who lived about 11,000 years ago. God damn, she was at the Thought Museum. Through through this initial project, Danes found her calling. I knew it straight away after my first contact in this field when I understood how infinite scientific research and creativity could be, she says. Although her sculpting techniques continue to evolve, she still follows the same basic steps. No matter the reconstruction, Danes always starts with a close examination of the ancient human skull, a defining feature for many hominid fossil groups. The skull gives a lot of information. It's not just a skull. They're not just plastering shit over uh, over replicas of bones. Computer modeling of 18 craniometric data points across a skull specimen gives her estimates of musculature and I know I said that wrong too, and the shape of the nose, chin, and forehead. These points guide Danes as she molds clay to form muscle, skin, and facial features across the cast of the skull. Additionally, bones and teeth provide more clues to the body shape and stature. So we know the bones do. So now we learning that teeth provide evidence as well. Provide information rather. Next, Dainez makes a silicone cast of the sculpture, a skin like canvas on which she'll paint complexion, beauty spots, and veins. For hair, she'll typically use human hair and members of the Homo genus, mixing in yak color for a thicker effect in older hominids. Dental and eye prosthetics complete the sculpture's form. From hair to and eye color decisions, Dainez gets inspiration from the scientific literature. For example, genetic evidence suggests that Neanderthals had red hair. She also consults with scientific experts on the fossil group at each stage of the reconstruction process. Her first collaboration with the scientists on reconstruction came about 1998 when she teamed up with a longtime friend, Jean Noel Vignal, a paleoanthropologist and former head of the Police Forensic Research Institute in Paris, to reconstruct a Neanderthal from France's Laforasie cave site. Vignal had developed the computer modeling programs used to estimate muscle and skin thickness. Forensic sleuthing, she says, is the perfect guide. She approaches a reconstruction like an investigator profiling a murder victim. The skull, other bone remains, and flora and fauna found at the excavation all help develop a picture of the individual, her age, what she ate, what hominid group she belonged to, any medical conditions she may have suffered from, and where and when she lived. More complete remains yield more accurate reconstructions. So the more fossils that you may find of a specimen, the more information that you can gather from it. Lucy proved an exceptionally difficult reconstruction spanning 8 months. It's Lucy. You feel me? And we ain't gonna. Data synthesizes all of the scientific data about that point in hominid evolution into one sculpture, presenting a hypothesis of what the individual will look like. But the full reconstruction is both an artistic and scientific challenge, she says. Reaching an emotional impact and transmitting life requires important artistic work, unlike a conventional reconstruction that will be realized in a forensic laboratory, explains Dainez. There is no scientific method to predict what anger or wonder or love might have looked like. So this is one of those spots of guesswork in which, I mean, honestly, I don't care what expression you put on this reconstructed specimen's face. Eye care is as close as you can get it to being scientifically accurate or scientifically and historically accurate. Um, there's no scientific method to predict what anger, wonder, or love might have looked like on the face of Homo erectus, for example. So for facial reconstruction, Daynez goes with artistic intuition based on the hominid family, exhibition design, and any inspiration conjured by the skull itself. She also turns to the expression of modern humans. I cut out different looks from recent photos and magazines that hit me and that I think can apply to a specific individual. For example, Daynez modeled a Neanderthal man looking powerlessly at his companion wounded in a hunting accident. Mm. For Cosmo Caxa, for the Cosmo Caxa Museum of Barcelona, on a Life magazine photo of two American soldiers in Vietnam. Through these expressions and the realistic feel of the sculptures, Daynez also tries to dispel stereotypes of ancient hominids being violent, brutish, stupid, or inhumane. Or I am proud to know that they will shake up common preconceptions. Daynez says, when this happens, the satisfaction is great. This is the promise that visitors will wonder about their origins. All right. Daynez has several upcoming exhibitions and museums around the world at the Montreal Science Center. Okay. This is just a little bit more information about the paleoanthropologist slash paleo artist. And as we see more and more as we go through, the basic understanding is we're getting tons of information from these fossil remains that we do have. And the more fossil remains that we have, the more information that we have to reconstruct these specimens more accurate scientifically and historically. Right? It's Lucy. Okay, so this is Daynez, I'm assuming. Right? And this is, I'm assuming, a Neanderthal. Yeah. Reconstruction of an early modern human child for an exhibition on the culture behind Lascaux cave painting, which dated to about 17,300 years ago. It's Homo erectus. This is the Helanthropus. Know a couple motherfuckers that look like that. You know what I mean? The Neanderthal woman. Another Homo erectus. Now look, honestly, I don't care if this Homo erectus eyes were brown or green. Like that has no bearing to me and the reconstruction. Like it that really don't matter. Or if he was one or two shades darker than this, like really? Or if his cheeks were a little bit fatter, or like, bro, who cares about that shit, bro? Nah, you ain't miss it because I'm playing multiple times just so people know where I'm coming from and what the inspiration for this is.
trying to respond to Hefe because I wasn't paying attention. Hold on.
So let's see. Did I go back too far? Hold on, y'all.
She did that Lucy 8
I had this conversation with him. You cannot reconstruct a skeleton to see the phenotype. If you've never seen something, how do you reconstruct it to make it look a certain way? So that's one thing we have to question. That's not a
exactly.
conspiracy.
Oh,
That's
you want to
common.
know something funny? You want to know something funny, Sha1? The same person that did the reconstruction of the King Tut, the pale King Tut, she did that
So
reconstructed pictures. I had this conversation with him. You cannot reconstruct a skeleton to see the phenotype. If you've never seen something, how do you reconstruct it to make it look a certain way? So that's one thing we have to question.
if you never seen something, how do you reconstruct it? Like that. I mean, that's basically his premise. So yeah, I mean, let's see where we going next. Where we going next? Nah, we ain't going there. We ain't going there. How about this? Bringing Neanderthal to life. I'll throw y'all one more in a short video because I'm trying to keep this not too much longer than an hour. So let's share this screen. It's the Natural Museum of History. I'll play this video. I don't know if the video is corresponding to the article, but
we work together with the Natural History Museum in London. The scientists bring for us the knowledge, and we make the characters. We give the public something to show, something to see. Most bones are distorted, and so we have to make it straight again. When you build a skeleton, you will be surprised by maybe how the skeleton looks, but when you put actually all the muscles on, then suddenly it becomes very realistic. But it's not a real character yet. So how the person stands says maybe something about him. That we show him do casual things, not with the spear of hunting and hunting pose. Not to make the cliche Eggman, you know, the Eggman. Everybody does already a viva Eggman. To put them in a way you would encounter them, to stand him and like you could meet him.
People will have as close as they can get to a real encounter with the best scientific evidence we can put together. it's great to be face to face with a Neanderthal and an early modern human. Their faces are really alive.
The position and the emotion in his face gives him the character. We worked for 6 months in a small shed on these reconstructions, so we're very glad. Everybody can look now at them, and they are in the most beautiful museum. So it's perfect.
Ooh, all right. It's cold in Europe, boy. So bringing a Neanderthal, hold on. Bringing a Neanderthal to life, the making of our model. So skip on that, man. I need to know that. As visitors wander among the fossils, tools, and other artifacts in the gallery, two stand out. Two standout characters put a human face to the last phase of our epic evolutionary journey. Staring into the twinkling eyes of the weathered features of the Neanderthal man, it's possible to feel a moment of connection and recognizing another fellow human, albeit a different species. He is based on a 40,000-year-old Homo neanderthalensis remains found at Spy in Belgium. And this is the homie. Crazy thing about it is he was in his 20s. Like real shit, bro was in his 20s. Hold on. Yeah, man. Bro was in his 20s. Man. Maybe that's how them other folks be looking so rough so early. The other gentleman in the gallery is a model of an early modern human living around 30,000 years ago, referred to by some scientists as Cro-Magnon, who was a part of the Gravettian prehistoric culture of Europe. That's a fact. He is reconstructed from a male Homo sapiens skeleton in Palviland in Wales. And since that is a partial skeleton lacking a skull, a roughly contemporaneous skull from wherever that's at in the Czech Republic, identical twins Audrey and Alphonse, who are among the world's leading prehistoric model makers, worked for 6 months to create two ancient human replicas with help from the museum scientists. They specially commissioned models blend the specially commissioned models. I'm so fucking tongue tied. The specially commissioned models blend scientific and aesthetic interpretations. Audrey Kenneth says the scientists bring the knowledge and we make the characters. Professor Chris Stringer, human evolution expert at the museum, was happy to inform the creation of the reconstruction. The models are based on the very best scientific evidence we could put together. When they come face to face with Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon men, people have as close as they can get. People have as close as they can get to the real. To the real encounter. He says, adding, their faces are really alive, illustrating our differences. Now, the models help to highlight key differences between Neanderthals and an early example of our own species, Homo sapien. Both are naked to show their physiques. No, thank you. Early modern humans were taller and less stocky than Neanderthals, probably more suited to endurance running for short bursts of speed. The Homo sapiens body proportions were similar to those of men who live in high conditions today. In comparison, the Neanderthal's body was suited to cold environments. But despite this, in the cold climate of the last glacial, he would have worn animal skin to survive. What about the ancient body art? Now, I'm curious about this as well. These a lot of these ancient humans, specifically Neanderthals, they was tatted up. Well, it looked like they was tatted up at least. When looking at modern humans, people sometimes think that he has a cigarette. When looking at modern humans, people sometimes think he has a cigarette in his mouth, but tobacco and smoking are far more recent concept as far as we know. The item is actually a twig paintbrush. Okay. Ah, so they painting on themselves. Got you. The man is posed as if in the middle of decorating his body. His upper leg show bold black designs, and his fingers are stained with the manganese dioxide pigment he used to create them. The markings are genuine design by early modern humans. Excuse me. Excuse me. They were copied from engravings found on mammoth bone at that same place in the Czech Republic. His lower legs were stained with red ochre. The remains the remains this model is based on were found in 1823, smeared with this naturally occurring iron oxide pigment and buried with periwinkle shells and fragments of ivory rods and rings. The Neanderthal is also shown with body decoration, as evidence suggests this artistic behavior was not unique to modern humans. In fact, body painting has been the earliest form of art. Ochre was being used at least 200,000 years ago in Africa and Europe. Early evidence indicates, excuse me, Neanderthals were using pigments to decorate or camouflage their bodies as long as 60,000 years ago at least. Blocks of manganese dioxide showing clear signs of usage, including some shaped into crayons, have been found and at least 70 Neanderthal sites. They used charcoal in a similar way and apparently preferred black to red or yellow. I mean, that makes sense. It would contrast more with their natural skin pigmentation. In search of a perfect pose, the Kenneth brothers were keen to pose the humans naturally in a way you might meet them. How a person stands says something about him, says Alphonse. We show him doing casual things, not a spear in a hunting pose. Adrias or Adrias, we did not want to make a cliched ape man. So what goes into making such models? The forensic techniques is one thing. What we do is paleo art, explains Alphonse. We make reconstructions of extinct mammals, especially early humans. When human relics are discovered, people want to know what the individuals would have looked like. So we reconstruct them using forensic methods. These techniques include layering clay over a cast of a skull, fleshing out the face using a chart that details known tissue thickness at particular points. Alphonse adds the difference between most forensic cases and ours is that ours is very, very, very old cases. The brothers also need to build the replica skeleton, straightening out any distorted bones, and then layering on the artificial muscles. This is used to make a mound in which to create the molds out of silicone. So they literally showing you how they do all this shit. They giving you the process, they giving you the breakdown, they give you the information that they receive from these fossil remains. And hold on, y'all, I got a call. All right. My bad, y'all. I had a call. Um, Once you put all the muscle on, it suddenly becomes very realistic, says Alphonse, but it's not a real character yet. So again, before I was interrupted, I ain't gonna say rudely because I needed that call. I'm saying that they giving you all the processes, all the information that they can gather from these fossil remains. They telling you um, how you can find where muscle should be placed, where um, blood vessels were. Like they telling you all this shit. What basically a lot of times the main part of the guesswork. Matter of fact, we right to that part anyway. Let me not talk over it. Let me just read. Creating believable characters and giving faces emotions both requires artistic skill. These aren't portraits, explains Alphonse. It's a broad idea of how someone would have looked. According to Alphonse, it's easy to know what people would have looked like around the part of the face where the flesh is thin. Exactly. Because you don't have to add much flesh. It's not much guesswork. All you gotta do is put that layer, put that layer of pseudo flesh over the mold of the skull in those specific parts where you know what I mean, not as opposed to a part like the cheeks, etc. Pause. Um, Try putting your hand on your face. You can feel where your bone is very near to the skin. According to Alphonse, it's easy to know what people look like around the world. I mean, around the part of the face where the flesh is thin when you know the skull shape. An example would be the bridge of the nose or the forehead area called the frontal bone. But what brings a lot of character to a person, clarifies Alfonso, is the fullness of the lips, the shape of the nostrils, the shape of the tip of the nose, the folds of the eyes. You can't know this. So these are the elements of guesswork. They're telling you, they're giving it to you raw. Pause. The fullness of the thinness of the lips, the shape of the nostrils, the shape of the tip of the nose, the folds of the eyes, the color of the skin, and in some cases, the color of the skin, the color of the eyes, in some cases. Um, but what? I just read that. The finished model arrived at the museum in early 2014 and were displayed in a temporary exhibition about humans in Britain. They were then incorporated into the museum's Human Evolution Gallery, which opened in December 2015. A new challenge. Oh, talking about Cheddar Man. About Cheddar Man. You buffering? Shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Hold on. Let me see. Let me check on the YouTube on my end. Yeah, because it shouldn't be buffering. I ain't showing no video. Okay. All right. Let's close this out. Recently, the Kenneth brothers reconstructed the face of another modern human, Cheddar Man, the oldest nearly complete Homo sapiens skeleton found in Britain. This pioneering reconstruction was based on DNA data generated by a team of scientists from the Museum and University College London using cutting-edge sequencing technology, as well as providing genetic evidence for Cheddar Man's skin tone. See, that's I said. Sometimes, in some cases, they actually can provide that said skin tone based on, as he said, genetic data. But this is relatively new technology, though, as he previously said in the previous sentence. Um, mm, 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 mm. As well as providing genetic evidence for Cheddar Man's skin tone, eye color, and hair type. The museums provided 3D scans of his skull. These were prepared using high-tech equipment originally designed for the use of International Space Station. The scans enabled the brothers to 3D print Cheddar Man's skull, providing an accurate base for fleshing out his facial features and incorporating the results from his genetic profile. I wonder how old Cheddar Man. It'd be wild if Cheddar Man were about 20 years old too. So yeah, old Cheddar Man. Oh, I had something else for y'all too. Actually, no, I think I played it already. So, ladies and gentlemen, nah, you good. You good, Zane. What, Cheddar Man? Hey, that is hard though. It is hard though. The human. Yeah, but let's hear do it one more time, one more again. Tell us about what we can't find out or how we can't do these reconstructions from fossil remains.
Tyrone, the only thing they're leaning on, they can't explain none of these splits, none of these environmental pressures that happen. They can't explain none of this. These
Keep in mind, oh man, my speaker died. If y'all heard that, but keep in mind, folks, I'm janky. This is the Negro. This is the Negro show. You change this goddamn name to the Negro show. We janky over here, man. We hood. We starting late. We getting calls in the middle of that shit. We hollering at dogs and shit. Like, you know what I mean? That's how we rocking. But keep in mind, folks, we've gave him everything that he's asked for. Now, whether he wants to accept the evidence or not, that's on him. We can't force you to accept evidence. If you want to continue believing, then continue to do so. That would be a Christian. Yeah, he said we can't explain the environmental pressures. We can't explain the splits. Like, I literally explained the splits yesterday, and I've done this before. Yesterday wasn't the first time. I don't know what he means by explain the environmental pressures. Different environments have come with different climates, different air pressures, oxygen. Like it's just it's different. It's different depending on where you're talking about in the time period. But those differences, even within the same time period, those differences in climates, in the environment, um, the food supplies, or not food supplies, but the potential food in a certain area, all that is different in one area than it is in another area. All that is different from the people on the left than it is to the people on the right. The people on the left live in a what you call it? They live in a more of a savanna region. They live close to the river. They eat a lot of fish. They gather they do a lot of hunter gathering. The other group lives on a mountain or on a mountain range, right? Just like, let's say, some Berbers do today. You know, a lot of Berbers are in the air mountains. So, are you? Hey, wake your ass up! Whoop, and his sleeping shit. I told you, just the hood network. Um, but yeah, I lost my train of thought. Different environments will call for different adaptations. Let's use the old melanin, since this is the melanin, man. Let's use the melanin for an example. One environmental pressure versus another. Sub-Saharan Africa versus the climate in Europe. For Sub-Saharan Africa, I would need to adapt heavy U melanin. Why? Because I need that to as a natural sunblock for protection against the harmful UVA and UVB rays. Why do I need protection from the harmful UVA and UVB rays? For one, I just told your motherfucking ass they harmful. For two, if you want to break it down and get specific, you're susceptible to. If not, you would be susceptible to skin cancers. You know what I'm saying? You would be fucking up your folic acid. If you're not familiar with the importance of folic acid, you're not gonna get it from here today. You better go buy volume 3, because I'm tired of giving y'all the game on that. You know what I mean? So if you want to protect that folic acid, if you want to protect yourself from these ailments that you can receive from too much exposure to harmful UVA and UVB rays when you're in those tropical zones that are ripe with UVA condensity, then you need that U melanin. You need that heavy U melanin. Up in Europe, for you to have heavy U melanin, that would be a disadvantage. That would be disadvantageous, because you need more of those UVB rays, UVA and UVB rays, right? To produce that vitamin D, right? Because if not, you're going to get shit like rickets, etc., etc. So what he means by we can't explain these environmental pressures, I don't know. I don't know. About the splits, I've talked about those multiple times, and I went extensively on them yesterday was it yesterday or the day before? My days be jumbled up. But episode 2. So yeah, that's what he said, man.
These are reconstructed pictures. I had this conversation with him. You can
He didn't have that conversation with us either. Also, I don't know where he got that from. Not about the
not
reconstruction.
reconstruct a skeleton to see the phenotype. If you've never seen something, how do you reconstruct it to make it look a certain way? So that's one thing we have to question.
Did you actually attempt to verify that you can't? Did you inquire about the process in which these reconstructions actually happen? Or are you just talking? You just on somebody panel talking, yo. So before you get on somebody panel talking and asking all these questions, question after question, you get an answer for it, you get evidence provided, and instead of conceding to the point, you move on to another question. You don't want to learn. And this is why we don't want to have that conversation with you no more. You that on top of the disrespect.
Do me a favor. Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. That's all. That's it. If you don't want to learn, you don't need to be in these conversations. That shit is annoying, yo. And then when you asking a question that don't even make sense and you don't even understand that your question don't make sense, it gets to a point of frustration.
Do me a favor. Shut the fuck up.
That's it. That's all. How they can't tell us how humans evolved from apes. Did a chicken evolve from a bird? Did a chicken evolve from a bird? Or is a chicken a bird? Or is a chicken in the category of a bird? Now you see why we say y'all questions don't even make sense. Y'all don't inquire about this stuff. Y'all don't try to look up the fundamentals. Y'all don't try to get a basic level, a entry level understanding of the subject matter. Y'all just want to go on and ask fucking questions. And the fucking questions don't even make fucking sense. Yeah. We need that. I don't got no more than an hour and a half. I wasn't supposed to have an hour, more than an hour for this dude. I was just rewatching that video last night, and it's just annoying. But man, make sure y'all pick up Brother Chavis's. Well, let me stop calling him. Let me stop calling it Brother Chavis's book, because he orchestrated all this and he put it together. But it's Teb Haseb Warriors. The Teb Haseb Warriors. Make sure you go pick up their work. I'm familiar with a couple of these brothers that's in the group. Excuse me, with Brother Chavis that that is producing this literature. I can't wait to check it out. I know some of these brothers are definitely on point. You got Brother Robert. I can't think of his last name. Brother Andrew. I think his last name Ford. I got Brother Lavelle, and a couple of other people. I think Sister Nunu in there. Yo, go and get that. It's gonna be dope. Also, be on the lookout for our brother Kofi's project with Sean Palador. They tag teaming. He got a new Sean P. Um, and go pick up Kofi's hair book, man. Kofi's hair book, African hair. Y'all can pick up all of these publications and more at Same Tree Different Branch Publishing.com. You go to the bookstore and you let it rock out. While I'm playing these commercial clips and then the intro or the outro, I'll drop the link in the chat for y'all, yo.
Claim your Africanness. I'm telling you, when you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. And you're going to get your intelligence back. I'll guarantee you. Education. And when they take responsibility in terms of their own Africanness and their own identity, when they don't spend all of their lives trying to escape from their Africanness, when they don't believe that to be called African is a curse. You see, when they don't run from their Africanness, but they run to it and they embrace it and they become a part of it. Let's see what happens to their learning when they decide and say out loud that I'm black and I'm proud, and that I'm African and I'm proud. And an individual, society exists outside African people. That is logically impossible. And it's a stupidity that's perpetrated on the population, on our people, and often leads to serious misunderstandings, both of ourselves and of our situation.
Yeah, I'll drop that. Damn, back and I'm proud. Yeah, that shit was hard. Bars. I'll drop that video in the back chat with the timestamp so you can check it out. But yeah. Let this conclude, man. We do know how facial reconstruction, not just facial reconstruction, but paleo art in general is done. It's done by paleo artists. These paleo artists get all the scientific evidence and the scientific information and the data from said scientists, whether that be anthropologists, archaeologists, etc., etc. And we know this because these fossils, these remains, these bones, and how they are constructed tell a lot about the specimen in which they were modeled after. I don't think people understand how much information, how much data can be collected and is collected from these fossil remains. I think they just winging it all the way around, and that's not the case. We know a lot from fossil remains, not just the things that were talked about today, but we know if you were a quote unquote knuckle walker, or if you were a biped, if you walked on two legs, or if it was possible for you to do both, we can tell that by the fossil remains of said specimen. We know whether we can tell whether a specimen ate meat, ate if it was a herbivore that only ate plants, or if it was an omnivore like me, you, and every other human on Earth, or at least we were designed to be omnivores. A lot of people think we're supposed to be vegans or vegetarians, but not necessarily. And we can tell that from the dental structure. We can tell that from the dental records, just by the teeth alone. You tell how old a motherfucker is from the teeth in a lot of instances. In some instances, you still have skin or microorganic material around these fossils that can tell a lot of data and a lot of information. So don't act like that science is out here winging it just because that's what you're doing. Just because you don't understand, just because you don't take the time out to make an effort to inquire about these things. It didn't take no time. I gathered 3 or 4 sources together in less than 10 minutes right before bed. Like, come on, man. Y'all gotta stop it. And since y'all so arrogant, I don't care. I'm attacking every fucking thing. I didn't have to do this. This was, I mean, it was kind of petty. But I'm a petty nigga.
How was school today?
Mom, these kids at school kept making fun of me and they kept calling my hair nappy. Why, Mom?
Sudi, look, just read this book and it'll tell you everything you need to know.
There's another N-word we throw around in and out of the black community called nappy. We have taken that word like the other N-word, nigger, and made it a word of adornment. I have heard the word nappy my entire life, which was used to insult, degrade, and hurt someone. This word is a derogatory term that was used in our ancestors to insult people.
Available now.
I love myself.
Same tree, different brand.
I hope you love yourself, because love is only love when you love somebody else.
Yeah, man, y'all done brought the petty nigga out of me. I'm a petty nigga. Like what's my boy name? Ray. Why you gotta do nasty shit, Ray? Cause I'm a nasty motherfucker.
I realize this. I'm from where them hammers rung. In Atlanta slums, pop a nigga, sit and wait for the ambulance to come. I know if you a shooter, by the way you're handling the gun. Gambling, you're done. Shells burn like candles in the sun. I'm not a fan of gun violence, nor having a strap, but get popped once, and I swear that you'll be scrambling for one. But our plans was to get funds and skate off the set, so I mixed the kush with the dro to make all my weight stretch. I'm from with a dudes rob and argue all day about who's the best MC, Saha stacks of T.I. while dodging the GBI. My bad, I love GZI, but I'm still the best to ever do it, and I ain't even put a CD out. So the next time you say that I ain't got no lyricists, I just think you ain't got a taste for this exquisite shit. My verses are like Leviticus to the underprivileged. I make music for the world, you make music for a stripper bitch. Neglect leather, parade cap era, guns at your capital, take it to that measure. It's Huey, nigga. It's Huey, nigga. Never been a victim, a rebel against the system. Lames wanna diss them and women just wanna kiss them. It's Huey, nigga. It's Huey, nigga. This that God flow. What they nailed Jesus to the cross for. And he came back 3 days after he died flow. This Pablo. Talking to kids in Chicago. Mob flow. This that midget New Jersey drive flow. I wrote this rap with my eyes closed. Bravo. Cause it came out clean as the Moss flow. Costco. Hoes selling they twat for a Carno. Benny Hunters and Roscoe. Picasso. Knives mixed with a pop flow. Rappers can't stand me. This that Grammy 9 flow. Let me stop though, cause I'm going digital with the syllables. I had the prince and I'm royalty like residual. These hoes for me, they supposed to be hospitable. When they in the house with a nigga that's not typical, this not fictional. I run this bitch like elliptical. Can another rapper come out of Atlanta if he not lyrical? Nigga, black leather, beret cap era. Guns at your capital, take it to that measure. It's Huey, nigga. Huey, nigga. It's Huey, nigga. It's Huey, nigga. Never been a victim, a rebel against the system. Lames wanna diss them and women just wanna kiss them. It's Huey, nigga. Huey, nigga. It's Huey, nigga. It's Huey, nigga.
This that Sha1 where out of towners die at. I advise you book your flight now and fly back. Gangland, bang then, what you claim, fam? Box Chevys, foreigns, buck 50 flow. Young nigga got bitches at the 50 though. 50 pack done, good, drop off 50 more. My city rough, but I made it in it. Trap house look like it's what K's invented. Trust nobody, even friends, look, I hate up in it. Riding dirty with your bitch, smoking, wait a minute. LA garage with Illinois and Decatur in it. Nigga snitching, unlike way to win it. Nigga looking like a state defendant. Photo look like a two-do. My two-do look like a full-do. I'm cutting up, call me Zorro. Hit him in his mask, get him a body bag. Give me a track, get him a body that.
Y'all be on the lookout. Sean might be going live on the Masa Warrior Clan pretty soon. See y'all there. If he does, if not, probably